The president of UEFA, Alexander Sefron, is saying that there is a dangerous gap now between the haves and the have-nots in the game, and has brought up the talk of a salary cap. In the future, we will have to take into serious consideration the possibility of limiting clubs' budgets for players' wages. If we succeed, it will, in my opinion, be an historic change. Steve, we were talking about this just yesterday, saying that there's only really 6 teams that can win the Champions League. Obviously, this would change it drastically. Would you like to see this introduced?
From a player's point of view, absolutely not. You know, at the end of the day, it's about earning what you can. And why should a body of people decide what you can and cannot earn? So I am not for
But you're
it
not
at
a
all.
player anymore. You're a fan.
Oh, absolutely. They should calm it down. I mean, it's ridiculous. £300,000 a week, I think, is just, well, it's too much. But that's speaking from a fan's point of view. As I said, if I'm a player, no, why do you cap it?
Yeah, and this is trying to make things more competitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You maybe still will have players earning a lot of money. However, then you can't have other players, obviously, on similar amounts.
Yeah, I kind of still like the free market. I think that appeals to me. I think clubs can monitor themselves a little bit. Maybe there are other rules to do it. I just don't like the fact of an organization to telling individual owners what they should do and how much money they spend. It's their money. You know, we're all good at spending other people's money, but let them do it. So I'm not crazy about it, although I've been flip-flopping a little bit on this as well, because you want to be competitive, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 clubs like that. But no, answer is no.
Listen, I understand the sentiment and the kind of romantic notion that goes into it, but I think it's problematic on a number of levels. If you have the Premier League rightly being able to command the type of revenues it does in TV revenues, why shouldn't the players get a healthy share of those revenues? And then what you will have if this is to be adopted is you have players in England earning a lot of money based on the TV revenues, but players everywhere else earning considerably less. Now, the fact of the matter is, as much as there are 6 big clubs who right now are the only ones who can win the Champions League, they're the ones who do a very good job of balancing their budgets. And if a club is making that money and the players are the assets that generate those revenues, then absolutely the players have every right to share in that. Until he as UEFA president, starts figuring out a way to distribute these revenues more evenly throughout his member associations, I don't see how it succeeds. But at the same time, I don't see how he does that in a sensible and fair manner.
Final word on this goes to Gab Marcotti.
Yeah, before we get carried away with this, it's not something that's going to happen soon. This is something Sefron's talked about in the future. He's talked about a whole other bunch of mechanisms to redistribute, to level the playing field. Maybe you can give sporting advantages, shortcuts to less wealthy teams, if you will. But, you know, I think this is a serious concern, because the polarization is driven a lot of times by sort of accidents of geography rather than necessarily merit, and that's something that he wants to address. But as the guys have pointed out, there's all sorts of regulatory hurdles to it. There's also the very real possibility that, you know, one day if you take money away from the very big boys, they're just going to take their toys and they're going to leave, and they're going to form a European Super League, and then there's no more UEFA Champions League. And I think Sefron is very aware of that risk as well. But I think it's something to get the conversation going at some point down the line.